Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
I could lead them.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is coming back with a bang in the back half of 2021. With general audiences having less familiarity with the Eternals characters, Marvel has made up some ground by assembling an incredible collection of talent to bring the concept to life. Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao, who is fresh off of winning a Best Director Oscar for Nomadland, and she's infused the film with a different visual style than past MCU adventures. Gemma Chan leads the diverse cast as Circe, one of the superhuman beings known as Eternals. She's joined by Angelina Jolie's Athena, Selma Hayek's Ajax, Richard Madden's Icarus, Kumail Nanjiani's Kingo, Brian Tyree Henry's Phastos, and more. Their involvement raised interest levels in Eternals and is one reason why so many fans are intrigued to see what it holds. Eternals is set for release on November this year. So, here's the 10 things to expect in the Eternals. By the way, make sure to click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our engaging videos, and use that trigger finger by smashing that like button. Now, let's get into it. Number 1. The Eternals are godlike beings. That's right, the Eternals are a race of omnipotent people that possess immortality, as well as strange, vast, and sometimes monstrous powers. Since the Eternals were created from experiments performed by ancient entities, the Celestials, they contain cosmic energy and have harnessed constant mental control over every molecule of their bodies. These experiments also made them virtually immortal, allowing them to be restored to life, even if the molecules of their bodies are scattered. Number 2. Their enemy Crow is complicated. Most often, the Eternals face the Deviant threat through the machinations of the warlord Crow, who is typically controlled by Lord Gar, a high priest in Deviant society. When Crow tried to become sovereign and was given a crown marking Deviant rulership, one of Gar's guards destroyed it. The ensuing laughter from the priests created feelings of resentment in Crow and led him to enter a tumultuous relationship with his higher-ups. Adding to Crow's internal conflict is his love for the Eternal Athena, despite using her often to fulfill his mischievous ends. Number 3. Eternals were created by the Celestials out of early human beings. The Eternals, who technically first appeared in 1940's Red Raven Comics #1, are the brainchild of Jack Kirby as the legendary comic book writer's own sci-fi twist on Greek mythology, before crafting a similar story for DC with the New Gods in the early 1970s. On the pages of Marvel Comics, who gave the Eternals their first self-titled series in 1976, the ageless, superpowered beings were created by the Celestials, which fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe should be familiar with already. The story goes that the godly Celestials came to Earth to conduct experiments on the planet's most primitive beings, resulting in 3 wildly different new species. One of these new creations would come to be known as the Eternals. Among the other 2 species, one would be able to look at the Eternals as saviors, while the others would see them as enemies. Number 4. Eternals protected humans from the Celestials' other creation, Deviants. The Eternals were bred in smaller numbers and were found to be technically immune to time and death, hence their name. Meanwhile, another creation known as the Deviants were literally described in Marvel Comics as a structurally unstable, ever-changing, and destructive failure on the Celestials' part. The humans were the only celestial-bred species on Earth that truly resembled a perfect balance of structure in their eyes, ensuring that they were destined to inherit the Earth. Even though they would come to live apart from all other living beings on Earth, the Eternals made it a responsibility to defend the humans from the monstrous Deviants. In fact, living in solitude for innumerable amounts of time would lead them to develop the necessary powers and skills to protect the humans. Number 5. Eternals have crossed paths with several other well-known Marvel characters. Eternals will not only be the team's first appearance in the Marvel movies in order, but the first time they have been featured in a different medium than comics. In fact, Marvel Comics has never been a particularly consistent home for the team's story to be told, but more on that later. Luckily, for all of their most prominent moments in the pages of Marvel, the Eternals have been known to collaborate with many well-known characters in the Marvel Universe. For instance, Apocalypse, one of the oldest mutants on record, whom Oscar Isaac portrayed in 2016's X-Men Apocalypse, managed to defeat Icarus in battle, but still had his evil plans to blow up the underground city of Lemuria ultimately thwarted. The Eternals also once aided Thor, before erasing his memories of them so as to keep their existence a secret. Ironically, the Eternals themselves would, at one time, suffer that same affliction. Number 6. The original team. The Eternals have been active in the defense of humanity for thousands of years, including defending the Earth from the Celestials in the past, though not able to save Atlantis from sinking. The core team of Eternals, as Kirby introduced them, included Icarus, Thena, Makari, Ajax, Circe, and many more. These characters would continue through later interpretation of the team and are all represented in the upcoming movie, if in slightly different ways than the comics had portrayed them. Number 7. Connection to Thanos. The Eternals didn't make a huge splash in their original run in Marvel Comics, but their legacy was significant. Thanos, perhaps the best villain of the MCU and one of the best in the comics, is a descendant of the Eternals. He is actually an Eternal-Deviant hybrid from the Celestials' machinations on the planet Titan. Thanos' impact on the Marvel Universe is extreme, to say the least. His efforts with the Infinity Gauntlet led to the death of over half of the entire universe, and he didn't stop there. Number 8. Power Reset. Their cosmic powers were limited, and they appear now to be less genetic experiments with their own free will, but programmable clones. The Eternals can't attack the Celestials or even disagree with them in some cases. If an Eternal makes any antagonistic move against their creators, they are immediately switched off, like they were robots. It remains to be seen if the movie will keep to this concept or the original Kirby one. Number 9. The Eternals are spread over Earth. The Eternals trailer doesn't provide too many details on what exactly the main characters are up to during the present day, but it does appear that most of them are separated and scattered across Earth. Circe is shown in the UK, where she's presumably with Dane Whitman, aka Black Knight, and Kingo is a famous Bollywood star. Druig appears to be living somewhat in isolation, in a forest before the rest of the Eternals come to see him, while Thena and Gilgamesh seem to be living together. It isn't clear what Icarus, Sprite, and Ajax are up to in the present day, but they presumably are off doing their own thing as well. There are also indications that Phastos has settled down with his husband. Makari is only shown in the modern day speed reading by herself with an Oculus headset nearby. Number 10. Eternals is set over 7,000 years. The main part of Eternals' story might be set in the present-day MCU, but the movie is also confirmed to explore thousands of years of its history. It was previously confirmed through interviews that Eternals' story spans 7,000 years. The marketing shows just how far back the movie will go, with the poster using the tagline, "In the beginning," and drawing biblical parallels. This is more likely to reference the beginning of human civilization and the role the Eternals play in it, rather than a sign that the MCU's universe has only been around for a few thousand years. The Eternals are shown arriving on Earth thousands of years ago and helping civilization advance in the trailer itself. They're also shown in ancient Babylon, which should be one of the many time periods and settings that Eternals visits throughout its time-spanning story. The Eternals were a relatively late addition to the mythology of Marvel Comics, but have become more and more important in recent years, thanks in part to one of their most significant descendants, Thanos. Given how important he has been to the movies, it's likely that the Eternals themselves will be equally important to the franchise moving forward. So, what can you say about 10 things to expect in the Eternals? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And oh, hey, if you've enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, so we continue giving you the best content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.